I would think there were two incidents in the race. Obviously, the first one was down here in Castro, when, of course, you got a touch and skated out, but were able to get back on even pegging with Jim. Was that a pretty tough bang in the side?
Well, the biggest bang was at the end of the straight. We had a fair bit of a touch, but I sort of locked up. I tried to sort of hold my line through here, but it sort of didn't work out properly. But these sort of things can happen. But before, we were locking up back brakes fairly bad coming into the end corner, but I thought we were on the pace and going well, but those things change over a couple of seconds.
Conditions must have been getting a bit difficult with that persistent light rain falling as well.
That's right, it was getting fairly greasy out there and very slippery on some parts of the circuit. You sort of got to come up to the corners and think, oh, halfway around the circuit was raining, halfway it was dry, and it's hard to pick which parts of the circuit which were dry and which were wet.
Tony Longhurst, we mentioned, Glenn, disappeared back through the field in the opening lap of the race, back to 12th spot, and he's been able to come back through now. He's still challenging Larry Perkins, of course. They're having that great scrap for 4th and 5th, coming up behind Williams here, and he switches back on the inside. You've driven the Nissan lightweight round here all day. How'd you like the job of doing 50 of the best in a Commodore?
Yeah, it'll be fairly hard work, I think. Our tyres are fairly good, but I reckon the Commodore tyres by now will be starting to get fairly second-hand.
Larry seems to be able to do the best pruning job on tyres of all the Commodore drivers, and has done it throughout the Touring Car Championship Series and the NZ Connectors Holden V8. His great scrap continues. And I guess the next question people will ask you, well, there went the touring car title, I guess there's always Bathurst.
That's right. Sort of Bathurst is equally as everyone wants to win as the Touring Car Championship, and hopefully we can do well up there. I think we can.
We've certainly got a great and professional team. It was very interesting to watch John Bow in the early stages of the race. He was playing the best rear gunner of all time coming through the pack. As it's turned out, George is still left there to contend with the traffic, and at this stage Jimmy Richards leads the pack down to the final stages. Who knows? Who really knows? He might even crack it for a smile yet, Frank Gardner. I just love to see him smile and burn his beach hat.
Yes, I think Frank deserves just as equally as we do as the championship this year. He's put a lot of hard work into it and prepared 3 very good BMWs, I think.
He certainly has. So too is Freddie Gibson. Winding down with this very exciting tussle for 4th and 5th.
I just wish Glenn would say something nasty.
No, Glenn won't say anything nasty. And a beautiful shot from our 7 chopper high above Oran Park Raceway. An absolute capacity crowd on hand for today's final, a fitting final to the Shell Ultra Touring Car Nationals for 1987. With Jimmy Richards out in front in car number 3, the JPS BMW. And I guess the only bit of good news that Ron Meacham has had all year. There's Jim. He continues down the front straight with 2 laps remaining.
Really just a case now for Richards to be very gentle on the car. You can see there's quite a distinguished dry line on the road. The rain just seems to have eased off a little bit when I just came inside. And really the strangest conditions this afternoon, still reasonably warmish, funnily enough, but just sprinklings of rain occasionally. Finnegan getting terribly out of shape in the VL Commodore.
George isn't all that far behind in the number 30 Peter Jackson Nissan Skyline, but of course the earlier confrontation with Glenn upset the apple cart, so to speak. There's George going through now. And he accelerates out of there. Dick Johnson still running in 3rd place in the Shell Cosworth Sierra. 4th place, Larry Perkins. 5th place being held down, of course, by car number 4. Car number 11, Larry Perkins. Then Tony Longhurst. Murray Carter is the next one. He's had a good run. Graham Bowkett. In an 8th spot is Peter Brock. Coming up to take the signal for the last lap as he goes across the strike. the man who won 7 out of 10 touring car rounds in 1985, wore the mantle as touring car champion. Last year, of course, it was George Fury who chased Robbie Francevic all season. Francevic took the crown, put it in the case, went back to New Zealand, and hasn't been sighted on the Australian mainland all season. We're likely to see him lining up the co-driver's role in one of these M3s a little later on for the endurance races. Is George still gaining? George could have done with another 5 laps, didn't he?
That's right. Only if we had another 5 laps, we maybe be able to have a victory today, but there's only 1 lap to go, and miracles will have to happen from here.
I wouldn't be counting on one, and I don't think that would really even be fair to Jimmy Richards, who's driven a great race. Working his way up to Honda Corner for the final time. This overflow crowd at Oran Park Raceway at Narellan, ready to rise in Castrol Corner as the 85 national champ comes downhill for the final time. Cheers have already started. The final corner comes up. The checkered flag is at the ready, and the man who takes the Touring Car National wins the championship. Jim Richards for JPS BMW. Peter Jackson Nissans, George Fury closing on him like lightning at the finish, and 3rd place will go to Queensland's Dick Johnson. Fantastic effort to Jimmy Richards and the JPS BMW team. They've taken the 1987 Touring Car National title. Recapping the placings for you now on the Castrol scoreboard. Jim Richards, race winner and Australian champion. George Fury takes 2nd. Dick Johnson finishes 3rd. 4th place today, Larry Perkins. 5th, Tony Longhurst. And 6th place, Victoria's battling Murray Carter.